Chapter 80 The Terror of Demigods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The terrifying sword energy sliced through the black soul power swirling in Qian's hand and slammed into his dragon claw. A deafening boom echoed, unleashing a wave of devastating energy. Second soul skill, angel wings. Qianrenxue's second soul ring blazed, and she shimmered, becoming partially immune to physical attacks and gaining 50% resistance to energy attacks. The snake spear dolphins instantly activated their martial soul avatars. Even with their combined might, the three were overwhelmed by the energy blast. Coughing up blood, Qianrenhan reeled from the impact, his dark magic sword, formed from soul power in his left hand, cracking and shattering. As expected of a martial soul gifted by the god of Azura, it actually broke my scales and drew blood. A visible bloody gash marked the dark dragon claw, courtesy of the Azura sword. The dark magic sword hadn't even scratched Qian's dragon scales, instead, it had shattered. There's a terrifying spirit beast hiding in the Star Do forest. Young master, Xiao, let's get out of here, now. That the agouti Douluo opened wide and swallowed Qianrenxue, Xiao, and a row whole. His belly bulged, and he spewed out a thick cloud of poison mist, using it as propulsion to escape. I said you weren't going anywhere. Qian's massive dragon form shifted into a human shape and instantly appeared where they had been, having torn through space itself. He reached out, and the space around the escaping agouti Douluo seemed to freeze, an inescapable prison. This was absolute power, the crushing weight of his presence. I also said, you're fighting me, that the fallen angel realm and the Azura realm converged on the area. The Azura sword behind Qianrenhan spun into a circle, unleashing a world-shattering wave of sword intent that ripped through Qian's spatial lockdown. The array Douluo, without a backward glance, bolted towards Spirit Hall to call for reinforcements. Qian seemed mildly surprised. He hadn't anticipated that Qianrenhan, heir to the god of Azura, would wield Azura's sword techniques even before ascending to godhood. Azura swordsmanship, annihilation, that the spiral of the Azura sword behind Qianrenhan coalesced into a physical blade in his hand. With a single stroke, the crimson sword energy tore open the void, creating a blood-red vortex from which three gigantic, magma-like arms emerged, reaching for Qian, intent on crushing him. Annihilation. The bloody sword energy breached the void, connecting to the realm of Azura, capable of summoning up to 6 divine Azura arms. Qianrenhan hadn't mastered the technique fully, so he could only summon 3, and these were merely phantoms, manifestations of pure Azura divine power, not arms of the actual Azura law. Qian watched Qianrenhan's swordplay with a spark of amusement. He raised his dragon claws, pointing a single finger at the sky. Behind him, a portal of black space opened, spilling forth endless darkness. It swirled like a strange mist, condensing around Qian's fingertip. Quickly, a dragon-headed sword hilt formed, followed by the guard, and finally the blade itself, pulsing with dark light. The enormous sword stretched nearly 800 meters in length. Seen from below, Qian wielding it looked capable of cleaving heaven and earth in two. The instant the sword manifested, the entire Star Do forest plunged into shadow. All the spirit beasts trembled and bowed their heads. Black dragon sword. With these words, Qian slammed the dragon claw holding the sword into the ground. A massive, black, crescent-shaped wave of energy shot forward. Even before it struck, the earth buckled, rocks and dust flew, and the ground, the light, and even space itself seemed to tear apart. The black crescent collided with the 3 Azura arms. Twin flashes of black and crimson light erupted, followed by an earth-shattering impact. The surrounding area of the Star Do forest was flattened for a radius of 10,000 meters. What a freaking battle. Outside the Star Do forest, the agouti and the others, who had escaped the blast, watched the distant, roaring conflict with awe and no small amount of relief. The shockwave alone would have killed them. At the epicenter, Qianrenhan was shielded by his 10 angel wings, but they were visibly damaged. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, seriously wounded. Qian, wielding the black dragon sword, remained unscathed. However, The blood-red vortex torn open by Qianrenhan was being contained by Tian's ultimate dark soul power, and he was preparing to reseal it using his mastery of space. Demigods are on another level. Qianrenhan wiped blood from his lip, impressed despite himself. Tian's sword had not only shattered the Azura arms, it had destroyed the Azura domain's sword energy and the fallen angels' devouring power with its sword energy. The double-layer defense had still left him heavily wounded. Despite the damage from Tian's sword, Qianrenhan had gleaned some insight. Tian was forced to use the dark properties of his soul power. Generally, he would just add dark elemental power to the sword and duel. Here he had weakened the opponent's attack and changed the shape of the darkness to strike at the collision point. The two were on different levels of control. Tian said indifferently, "Human, you can't be 30 years old yet. If we weren't different races, I would have wanted to become your friend. But for the sake of the Star Doe Forest and the Soul Beast clan, you have to die." "I agree, and next time we meet, I'm coming for your soul ring." Qianrenhan's 8th soul ring lit up. He had to escape, it was the only move, or else he'd have to call upon the god of Azura himself. 8th soul skill, Burial of the Fallen Angel. Qianrenhan pressed his hands together, funneling his soul power into his palms, creating a miniature black hole that seemed capable of swallowing everything. The burial of the fallen angel was similar to angel devouring heaven, converting the fallen angel's ultimate attributes into ultimate darkness. The ultimate dark soul power turned into a black hole that swallowed everything. How much it could swallow depended on the amount of soul power invested. If Qianrenhan had used this against Tiando's 400,000 strong army a few days prior, they would have been swallowed, or crushed under the hole when it fell. Go! Qianrenhan pushed the black hole forward. It expanded rapidly, unleashing an incredible suction force. Infused with 7 layers of Qianrenhan's soul power, the black hole exerted a pull strong enough to affect everything within a 10,000-meter radius, except light. At the same time, Qianrenhan spread his wings and sped away, leaving the Star Doe Forest. "You think you can escape?" Tian said coldly. He held out his right hand, and the black dragon claw morphed. The joints thickened, scales emerged, and it transformed into the dragon god's claw, imbued with the divine power of the dragon god. Dragon god's claw. Tian swung, channeling his strongest attack, determined to kill Qianrenhan. The claw tore through space with a deafening roar. It was both incredibly fast and brutally powerful. Qianrenhan's black hole was crushed by the dragon god's claw, and it continued to pursue Qianrenhan. 3 orifices control the heart. My body is like a sword. Knowing he couldn't dodge, Qianrenhan took a deep breath and activated distraction control, merging his body with the Azura sword. The first and second soul rings he had recently absorbed blazed, and he poured every last drop of his soul power into the Azura sword. When the sword struck, it tore the world apart. 100-meter-long crimson crescent of sword energy collided with the dragon god's claw. Another massive explosion shook the Star Doe Forest. Space fractured. As the dust settled, Tian frowned. He didn't feel like he had torn Qianrenhan to pieces. The dragon god's claw was a magical skill with god-level power. Even if his martial spirit was incredibly powerful, Qianrenhan's level 96 cultivation couldn't have blocked this. Tian, fall back. The human was protected by the gods and blocked the dragon god's claws. You can't kill him. I will personally kill him, when he inherits the throne. The Silver Dragon King's voice echoed through Tian's mind. Understood, Lord. Tian surveyed the ravaged Star Doe Forest below and retreated to the Lake of Life, preparing to ask Bridget to restore the ecology. Outside the Great Star Forest, Qianrenhan clutched the Azura sword, panting. A blood-red light flashed on his forehead, solidifying into a barrier. A small crack marked the barrier, the scar left by the dragon god's claw. Chapter 81 Epic Pig Teammate Xiao Wu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master, thank you. I might be dead without your help. Qianrenhan sheathed his Shura sword. A booming voice echoed in his mind, the voice of God Shura from the blood sword mark on his forehead. You're still green. It's no shame you couldn't beat that black dragon. It's been cultivating for over 700,000 years, and its bloodline is something else. When you're strong enough, take down that black dragon and use it as the soul ring for your fallen angel spirit. It's a perfect match. Master, I was planning on it. Qianrenhan nodded, figuring he could probably hold his own against Qian, at least long enough to escape. Anything stronger, like a demigod, would be suicide. The fallen angel spirit surged through him again. Qianrenhan casually drained some spirit power from a few passing spirit masters, then flew toward the spirit hall. Time to build up the spirit hall. Meanwhile, Tang Sen used the Xiantian technique to patch himself up. He looked at Xiao Wu, tears welling, unsure how to speak. Even with his soul bone ripped out, he knew Xiao Wu, the 100,000-year soul beast, had saved him. Xiao Wu asked, "Brother, how bad is the injury?" "It stopped bleeding, but I need a healing spirit master," Tang San said, trying to downplay it. Xiao Wu, about you. "Brother, I'm really a 100,000-year soul beast. Do you still see me as your sister?" Xiao Wu asked, voice trembling. Tang San ruffled her hair. "Silly girl, I don't care if you're human or spirit beast. You're my sister, my little Xiao Wu." "Brother." Xiao Wu's face lit up, ears perked. "Just a sister," Tang San said, "of course, you're my sister." Xiao Wu's face fell. "Ugh, hopeless, a real blockhead." Tang San asked, "Who were your spirit beast friends?" "My mother and my 2 younger brothers." "Let's see if they're okay." Xiao Wu panicked. She'd been so focused on Tang San's injury, she forgot about them escaping. Ming lost half an arm. "Xiao Wu, let's go." Despite his injury, Tang San couldn't leave Xiao Wu alone. He grabbed some dragon beard needles and, gritting his teeth against the pain, rushed into the Star Do forest with her. They arrived at the battlefield where Qianrenhan and Tian had clashed, now a wasteland. The Titan giant ape and azure bull python were mostly ashes. Xiao Wu caught a familiar scent and ran to a cow's head, unrecognizable but with undamaged horns. She knew it was Deming's head, only the head was there. The body was gone, and the head was cooling. "Deming!" Xiao Wu cried. She called for Ming and her mother, but silence. If Deming was dead, her family was in trouble. Xiao Wu. Tang San knew the answer and struggled to find the right words. "Brother." Xiao Wu grabbed Tang San, forgetting his injury, and sobbed, "Deming's dead. Mom and Ming are probably gone too. I have no family. I want revenge." Tang San felt a cold sweat from the pain in his back, but he stayed calm. "Revenge. We'll get revenge. Your revenge is my revenge. I'll help you." "Thank you, brother." Xiao Wu looked up, confused. "Why are you sweating so much?" Tang San forced a smile. "It's hot, really hot. Let me wipe your sweat." Xiao Wu dabbed at him with a handkerchief. "Lean down a little." Hearing Xiao Wu's voice, Tang San gritted his teeth and lowered his head. But the movement tugged at his wound. He felt like his back would burst open, but looking at Xiao Wu, he held back. He just wanted her to hurry. 5 seconds felt like forever. Finally, she was done. Just as Tang San thought he could meditate and heal, hundreds of spirit beasts appeared, eyes glowing, mouths drooling. They were drawn by the scent of the azure bull python and Titan giant ape. The meat was a feast for the taking. They would increase their cultivation for years. Not only that, there was a rumble in the forest, 10,000-year spirit beasts coming to claim the meat. They also planned to eat Xiao Wu. 100,000-year soul beast in human form would boost their power. Before, they were afraid of the Titan giant ape, the azure bull python, and the silky bone rabbit king. Now, no one could stop them. Sensing the threat, Tang San grabbed Xiao Wu and bolted out of the Star Do forest. He threw hidden weapons from his 24 bridges on the moonlit night, aiming for the century-old spirit beasts in their path. As they ran, they left a trail of metal and blood. They gained their 3rd soul rings, but Xiao Wu lost her family and status as the Star Do forest's leader. now hunted by other beasts. Tang San lost all the hidden weapons he had spent 6 years making. 6 years of work, gone. It hurt, bad. He also lost the 8 spider spears and who knows how much blood. Besides Qianrenhan peeling bones, Xiao Wu was a legendary teammate, but not in a good way. Chapter 82 Pope Qianrenhan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days later, inside the Spirit Hall, Qianrenhan, decked out in black and gold robes, sat on the papal throne. DouluoDalu and almost 20 cardinals knelt on one knee below him. Hail His Majesty, the Pope. They said in unison. No one present dared underestimate the youngest pope in Spirit Hall history. This ruthless individual had seized the throne, deposing the previous pope to get to the top. Rumor had it that the former pope was tossed out of Spirit Hall City, and that even Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo of the 7 treasure glazed tile school were crippled by this pope. Qianxunji supposedly had to cough up 20 billion gold soul coins to get them back. The Heaven Do Empire even sent an army of 400,000 to besiege him, but then suddenly and mysteriously withdrew. All these stories terrified the cardinals. As for the previous pope, Qianxunji, after Qianrenhan took over, he was thrown into the most luxurious prison in the Spirit Hall, a 5-star hotel of a jail, with top-notch nutrition. Apparently, even though his crimes were supposedly for the good of the Spirit Hall, he now had to spend hours every day working on a sewing machine. A former pope in prison, slaving away on a sewing machine. That was explosive news in Douluo history. The mental torment far outweighed the physical. It was the ultimate punishment for Qianxunji. DouluoDalu, a servant of God, couldn't interfere with Qianrenhan's actions as the inheritor of the angel god. He just kept hoping the angel god would send some guidance. But no matter how much he prayed to the statue, nothing happened. Qianrenhan leaned back, looking down lazily at the cardinals. His voice boomed, now that I've taken the papal seat, I have 3 important announcements. First, he said, we're ending the Spirit Hall's free spirit awakening service for the people across the continent. From now on, it'll cost 10 gold soul coins per person. The cardinals gasped. Second, we're scrapping the continent-wide Soul Master subsidy program. Only Soul Masters from Spirit Hall Academy will get subsidies. Another wave of shock rippled through the ranks. Third, Qianrenhan continued, we're pulling out of the soul-hunting forest, ending Soul Master patrols throughout the 2 empires, and cancelling the Spirit Hall's free suppression of troublemaking Soul Masters. Instead, we'll charge for it, 5 gold soul coins to suppress regular Soul Masters, 50 for Great Soul Masters, 500 for Soul Ancestors, and 500 million for title Douluo. He paused. Any objections? The cardinals, including DouluoDalu, were stunned. They all thought the Pope had lost his mind. The Spirit Hall was considered a sacred place by Soul Masters because it suppressed lawless individuals, ensuring stability. It also awakened spirits for free and provided Soul Master subsidies, inspiring gratitude. Now, charging to suppress Soul Masters, and in multiples of gold soul coins, how could ordinary people afford that? Wouldn't the Spirit Hall, an organization supposed to serve the people, become nothing more than a tool for the nobles? One cardinal, voice trembling, spoke up. Your Majesty, with all due respect, is this wise? What's wrong with it? Qianrenhan asked, raising an eyebrow. Our Spirit Hall's mission is to maintain peace and order on the continent, the cardinal replied. Ordinary folks won't be able to pay for this policy. It'll destroy our public support. Qianrenhan smiled faintly. I understand they can't afford it, so I'll give them another option. From now on, every branch of the Spirit Hall will become a temple. We'll erect statues of the Seraphim goddess in every village. If they're poor, all they have to do is devoutly kneel and pray to the angel goddess statue to qualify for spirit awakening, and the Spirit Hall will send people to suppress evil spirit masters. I'll give all their descendants the chance to become soul masters at no cost and guarantee their safety. Surely, it's reasonable to ask them to kneel and worship the angel statue in return. And as for public sentiment, Qianrenhan scoffed. Is popular support even useful? The upper three sects have been around for ages, and their contributions don't even compare to ours. Yet their standing in the eyes of the people is still so high. The people respect the spirit hall. What they respect isn't necessarily our free services. That plays a part, of course, but mostly they respect our power. We are the strongest force in the Soul Master world. Qianrenhan's voice turned icy. Listen closely, these three policies aren't up for debate. They are orders. If you don't like them, you're free to leave the spirit hall right now. The cardinals exchanged glances, but no one moved. Belief in the angel god was practically non-existent on the Douluo continent. Most of these cardinals, including DouluoDalu, had joined the spirit hall for wealth and status. Conscience was no match for money and power. Your Majesty, one cardinal, an older man with lines etched on his face, stepped forward. I wish to resign from the spirit hall. I dedicated my life to it because I believed in its ideals. Your new policies contradict my original reasons for joining. The spirit hall has changed, and it's no longer a place for me. Whatever, Qianrenhan said, closing his eyes. He let those who wanted to quit go. Few soul masters in the spirit hall were truly dedicated to the continent. Most were just trying to make a living. As long as the paychecks kept coming, the spirit hall's workforce would remain massive. The more Qianrenhan learned about the Douluo continent, the clearer it became that he couldn't afford to be a good guy. Look at Sea God Island. After the sea god ascended, his organization did nothing. The seven sacred pillar Douluo protected the sea sacred pillar, and Bo Saishi couldn't leave Sea God Island. The rules stated that anyone who passed the sea god's trials couldn't leave the island. Despite this, the sea god still commanded the faith of the entire ocean. Even the sealess soul beasts knew his name. Okay, maybe the sea spirit masters on Sea God Island had a reason to stay, they got the rewards for passing the sea god's trials. But what about the sea soul beasts? What had the sea god ever done for them? The deep-sea demon whale king and the evil orca king were still waiting for Qianrenhan's sword to fall. The spirit hall awakened spirits for free across the continent, suppressed troublemaking soul masters, and even signed an agreement with Slaughter City to guard prisons. And what did it get in return? The faith of angels and gods. He'd like to know how many people on the continent even remembered the angel god. Shrek Academy was located in a small village outside Soto City, a city oppressed by the Baroque kingdom. After wandering the city for months, he never once heard anyone praying to angels and gods for mercy, and that was in countries like the Baroque kingdom, which were close to the spirit hall. Forget about the two major empires. The truth was, you couldn't be nice to the people of the Douluo continent. If you were, you'd get nothing. Only when you were ruthless would they fall in line. Chapter 83 Chaos in the Soul Master World, 2 in 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the cardinals and Jew ghost Douluo dipped, Qianrenhan glanced in a particular direction, remarking, Xiao, shouldn't you be training? What brings you here? Qianrenxue entered through a hidden passage, her eyes red-rimmed. Brother, why did you do that to Dad and her? Upon her return, Renxue was clueless about the upheavals at Spirit Hall. Thinking Qianxunji was still in secluded cultivation and Bibi Dong remained the Pope, she hadn't visited them. Only after learning of Qianrenhan's ascension and Bibi Dong's disappearance, she pressed DouluoDalu for the truth about what happened after Qianrenhan's return. Her father was now a prisoner, toiling away in a sewing factory. Her mother had been stripped of her powers and banished from Spirit Hall. The once almost complete family shattered instantly. Qianrenxue struggled to process it all. Because I'm a Qian, Renhan said coolly, and Spirit Hall raised me. Everything I did was to strengthen the family that took me in. That's all there is to it. Since DouluoDalu wasn't ready to reveal Qianxunji's secret chamber crimes, he'd just spout nonsense. DouluoDalu, internally, if I told her about that secret chamber, Renxue would be scouring the continent for Bibi Dong immediately. Angel trials be damned, I'd be stuck babysitting, star. Brother, no matter what Mom did, she's still our mother. You crippled her cultivation and exiled her from Spirit City. She's defenseless now. What dangers will she face? Why won't you bring her back? Qianrenxue's voice was thick with tears. Not even the old man can sway my decisions. Qianrenxue, even if you track down Bibi Dong, I won't allow you to bring her back. If you want to overturn my decision and bring her back, you'll need to earn the right to challenge me. The one sitting here now isn't your brother, Qianrenhan, but Pope Qianrenhan. His voice was indifferent, devoid of emotion. If you want to wear the crown, you have to carry its weight. With a flick of his wrist, a surge of energy sent Qianrenxue flying out of the Pope's palace. Brother, that the palace doors slammed shut. Qianrenhan closed his eyes, ignoring Qianrenxue's tear-streaked face. When he had decided to be a good brother, his focus was on Qianrenxue, to indulge and support her through childhood. He'd indulged her playful slacking off during training and carefully selected jelly grass to strengthen her angelic spirit, but as Pope, his priority was Spirit Hall. Everyone else came second. In the Hall of Elders, DouluoDalu sighed helplessly, then felt a surge of joy. Good. This will make Xiao concentrate on her angel god trials. As for Bibi Dong, he'd arranged for a couple of trusted guards to protect her in secret. She wouldn't die, anyway. With the announcement of Spirit Hall's 3 new policies, a continent-wide earthquake began. Every major Spirit Hall branch started erecting statues of the Seraph Goddess. Some Spirit Masters, like Pixel Yuntao and Matthew Noah, were deeply displeased by the new Pope's changes. With these policies, what difference was there between Spirit Hall and the other sects across the continent? Was it really a Spirit Master Holy Land? Within the Heaven Do royal family, Emperor Shui, previously disheartened by Qianrenhan's sword threat and the attack on Qianxunji, burst into laughter. It was as if he had regained 10 years of youth. Excellent. Excellent. Canceling the Spirit Master subsidies means the Empire no longer has to bleed gold every month to support those masters who aren't loyal to us. Shui beamed. The subsidies were essentially a handout to unaffiliated Spirit Masters, a complete waste. Now, he could save it. More importantly, free spirit awakening was gone. Now, fewer common-born geniuses would emerge, form powerful families, or try to carve up the Empire's share, like the upper 3 sects. The Empire would also face fewer threats. Father. Prince Shui Luochuan entered. Luochuan, Shui asked, any news about Qinghe? Despite expanding the search radius in recent days, there's no trace. Whoever attacked second brother has been planning this for a long time. Neither he nor Shui believed that Qinghe had simply disappeared. After all, for a titled Douluo capable of destroying the 7 treasure glazed tile school and marrying the most incompetent prince, that was just too unlikely. It wasn't Spirit Hall. They both suspected the Star Luo Empire was behind it. After all, the only ones with a blood feud against the Heaven Do Empire was the Star Luo Empire. Dropping the topic of Qinghe, Shui Luochuan said, Father, I have a suggestion regarding the Spirit Master subsidies. What's that? Since Spirit Hall is no longer providing subsidies, we should continue, but this time, we target the students of the Empire's top-tier Spirit Master academies. Shui Luochuan said solemnly that anyone qualified to attend a top-tier Spirit Master Academy had the potential to become a Soul King. That was an investment worth making for the Heaven Do Empire. The Empire's top academies were the Elemental Academies, Kamikaze, Blazing Fire, and Qianxunji, plus Zhanhui Academy. All of them were qualified for the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament. As for the intermediate colleges and the pheasant colleges, as Shui considered them, what talents had they produced? Real talents wouldn't waste their time or money on such places. Shui nodded. Luochuan, what do you think would be an appropriate subsidy amount? Shui Luochuan paused. 1 gold soul coin. Whether it's a Spirit Master, Great Spirit Master, or Spirit Elder, 1 gold soul coin is enough to feed a common family for months. It's enough for a Spirit Master, too. This assessment is based on Jiang Nannan from the Do era being hesitant to spend 5 bronze coins, indicating they were expensive, and they got a subsidy. So be it. Shui fully agreed, aiming for the greatest benefit to the empire at the lowest cost. My son is truly gifted. As for the free spirit awakenings, neither of them bothered discussing it. Were the untouchables even worthy of it? They should pay. In the Star Luo Empire, Emperor Dai Tianfeng was also smiling on his throne. Not bad, Spirit Hall. Qianrenhan, the new pope, is not bad. Dai Tianfeng wasn't concerned about the subsidies or the free awakenings. He had absolute faith in his empire's strength. He was more interested in the idea of Spirit Hall demanding money for suppressing spirit masters. This way, Spirit Hall wouldn't be the so-called peacekeeping organization. It would become another sect-like power, just like the upper three sects. This opened the door for the Star Luo Empire to destroy the Heaven Do Empire and unify the entire continent. Father, Davis, Star Luo's eldest prince, entered. Dai Tianfeng nodded. Davis, how's your training going? Davis replied respectfully, Father, I recently broke through to level 45. Good, good. My son has the potential to become a titled Douluo. Dai Tianfeng looked pleased. Davis, your main focus now is the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament. After that, the opportunity to unify the continent will arise. Take charge and feel out the new pope's attitude. If possible, we should bring them over to our side. The two empires, Xinluo and Qiando, were not at war. In addition to the reconciliation between Spirit Hall, a self-proclaimed righteous organization, the two empires were also worried that Wuhun Palace would reap the benefits. They didn't believe in the continent of Wuhun Palace. The Peace and Justice Organization, how can any organization pretend to be good people for nothing? Are there any so-called good people in the Soul Master world? Understood, Davis replied respectfully. Dai Tianfeng never mentioned Dai Mubai, his third son. After Dai Mubai abandoned his fiancée and ran away, he was completely disappointed in him. As news of Spirit Hall's 3 policies spread, the major forces on the continent began to look at Spirit Hall more favorably. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan was the most impressed. Initially, when Spirit Hall wanted to control every Spirit Master, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan was defiant. How could a dragon be a dog to anyone? They'd resisted to the end, but now that Spirit Hall was demanding money for suppressing rebellious Spirit Masters, they wouldn't be able to manage every master on the continent. In fact, they might want chaos, so they could profit from it. Nothing could get done without enough money. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School and the Clear Sky clan's opinions of Spirit Hall hadn't changed. Qianrenhan had blackmailed the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School for 2 billion gold soul coins. Their leader had been slapped, and Gu Rong's arm had been severed. Sword Douluo's sword heart had been damaged. Ning Fengji wanted to tear Spirit Hall and Qianrenhan into pieces. Tang Xiao of the Clear Sky clan still held Spirit Hall responsible for a yin sacrifice. There was no way he could ever have a positive view of them. In the square of Divine Wind Academy, a beautiful figure in fiery red was chasing a man with short, silver-white hair and a somewhat handsome appearance. These two were Huo Wu and Feng Xiaotian. Xiaotian, won't you ever accept me? The young master of Spirit Hall, Qianrenxue, has been dead for 2 years. Just because you fell in love with her at first sight when you were 6, you refuse to accept me, even after all these years. Can't you see my dedication and hard work? Huo Wu stood in Feng Xiaotian's path, blocking his way, her face a mixture of frustration and hurt. During a competition 15 years ago, Feng Xiaotian's affections had shifted from Huo Wu to the more beautiful and charming Qianrenxue. After learning of her talent and terrifying martial spirit, he'd worked tirelessly. Now, at only 22, he'd reached level 54. He was recognized as the #1 genius in the Heaven Do Empire, crushing his peers. He also treated Huo Wu with gentlemanly restraint, without hurting her. It was Feng Xiaotian's absolute strength, his gentlemanly demeanor, and his good looks that had made Huo Wu fall for him, launching a relentless pursuit. But what would the 2-headed wolf of the wind bring to the Soul Master? Everyone knows the impact of the disease, the dog-licking effect. Feng Xiaotian's advances toward Huo Wu had always been rejected. but Huowu became more and more courageous with frustrations. Except for Feng Xiaotian, Yu Tianheng and Yu Tianxin, the younger generation are almost as talented as her, and she doesn't like her at all. Feng Xiaotian stopped, sighing. Huowu, you can't force matters of the heart. I won't. Xiaotian, the one you love is gone. The only one who can and is qualified to be with you is me. Can't you give me a chance? If you don't accept me, I'll keep following you until you do. Huowu stomped her foot, resorting to womanly tactics. Feng Xiaotian looked at the willful Huowu and sighed helplessly. Women chase men. Huowu has been chasing him for so many years, how could he not be moved in his heart? Huowu, can you give me some more time? I promise, I'll give you an answer after the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy tournament. Call me Sister Huowu. Just as a smile began to spread across Huowu's face, a student from Divine Wind Academy rushed over, shouting, Senior Feng. Great news! Great news! What happened? Feng Xiaotian asked with a smile. As a socially awkward person, his martial arts talent is ridiculously strong. His family is also the strongest in Shenfeng Academy, so his status in Shenfeng Academy is equivalent to Shui Bingers in Qianxunji Academy. Status, the student exclaimed, the young masters of Spirit Hall are alive. Before Feng Xiaotian could speak, Huowu said, impossible. They're dead. Spirit Hall announced it themselves. The entire Spirit Master world knows, the student explained, the current pope is Qianrenhan, the eldest young master. Qianrenxue has also resumed her position as a Spirit Hall saint. How is that possible? Huowu stumbled backward, as if struck by 100,000 volts. She knew just how infatuated Feng Xiaotian was. Pope Qianrenhan. Feng Xiaotian was stunned. Qianrenhan was a year younger and already pope. What strength did he possess? The student's voice grew fainter. Senior Feng, I don't want to rain on your parade, but becoming the son-in-law of Spirit Hall might be tough. It said the current pope showed up in Heaven Do City a few days ago, and the sword bone Douluo of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School was no match for him. Even the Heaven Do royal family failed when they tried in person. His strength is beyond imagination. Feng Xiaotian was silent, then suddenly raised his head. I, Feng Xiaotian, will train harder in Gale Valley. His eyes blazed with renewed determination. He put on his mask and ran toward Gale Canyon, leaving Huowu standing there, stunned. Feng Xiao Tian. Huowu watched him go, consumed by anger and jealousy. She wanted to beat the student who had ruined her chances, but he had already run away. As time passed and Spirit Hall's 3 policies took effect, the entire continent was in turmoil. Spirit hunting squads indiscriminately hunted soul beasts for spirit bones. Immigration into Slaughter City slowed to a trickle. Meanwhile, the number of spirit masters on the continent steadily increased. P.S. Let me clarify, Feng Xiaotian and Qianrenxue cannot be together. The protagonist doesn't disagree, but Qianrenxue's temperament and vision do not like Feng Xiaotian. Unless she cannot become a god, the author will not deliberately destroy people. Disgusting readers. Chapter 84 Douluo version of The Farmer and the Snake, 2 in 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shrek Academy. After Tang San escorted Xiao Wu to the town near Star Do Forest and reunited with the Shrek 5, he collapsed. Meanwhile, after Shrek 7's teacher, Zhao Wuji, was severely injured by Qianrenhan, Dai Mubai, in an act of loyalty, carried Zhao Wuji to safety despite the Titan giant ape's attack. Unfortunately, the rough journey proved too much for Zhao Wuji, who, despite his reputation as the immovable king, didn't even have the honor of dying in battle with Spirit Hall. Instead, he passed away from his injuries on Dai Mubai's back. Tang San was luckier, finding refuge and friends in the town. After Ning Rongrong paid a local healer to treat Tang San, the group returned to Shrek Academy. Flanders, the academy's head, was livid upon hearing about the Star Do Forest incident and Zhao Wuji's death. Don't be afraid to stir things up was a founding principle of Shrek Academy. Besides, in a backwater town like Soto City, finding powerful soul saints was impossible. Shrek Academy was always the one causing trouble, and no one dared mess with them. If anyone did, Xiao Wuji would show up at their door, demanding justice and maybe even a hefty payout for damages, but this time, his prized student hadn't provoked anyone, yet Tang San had his soul bone stolen, and Xiao Wuji was dead. Flanders was beyond furious. He wanted to find the soul master responsible for Xiao Wuji's death and fight to the bitter end to defend Shrek Academy's honor. Yu Xiaoan, standing beside Flanders, was equally grim. His prized disciple's external soul bone, considered the most valuable after a 100,000-year soul bone, was gone. This treasure, which would have significantly boosted Tang San's potential, had been snatched away, and Tang San almost lost his life in the process. This was unacceptable. Xiao San, do you know who took your external soul bone? Can you describe him? Yu Xiaoan asked sternly. There was still a chance to retrieve it before it fully integrated with the soul master. If they could identify the thief, they could potentially get it back, especially with Tang San's father, Haotian Douluo, on their side. Tang San shook his head, frustration evident. I don't know. All I know is that he had white hair and blood-red eyes, and he wielded an incredibly powerful blood sword spirit. It was a high-quality spirit. He paused. And he seemed to know me, calling me a bastard, neither human nor beast. Tang San hesitated to repeat that last insult. A blood sword martial spirit of exceptional quality. The most renowned sword spirits on the continent are Sword Douluo's 7-killing sword and the wind sword Sect's wind and thunder sword. But this blood sword martial spirit. Yu Xiaoan murmured, frowning. As someone who considered himself theoretically unmatched in soul master knowledge, he should recognize high-quality martial spirits. After a moment of thought, Yu Xiaoan said, I'll research this. I'll scour the records to see if I can identify this martial spirit's owner and help Xiao San recover the external soul bone. Thank you, teacher, Tang San replied gratefully. I'll also inform my sect so they can investigate this person, Ning Rongrong added, gritting her teeth. Insulting her grandfather and father like that? She wouldn't let it slide. Xiao Wu, wanting to keep her soul beast identity secret, didn't mention the Titan giant ape or azure bull python or her mother. And Tang San, not yet fully aware of the power of twin martial spirits, didn't suspect Qianrenhan of having them. All right, you little monsters, take a couple of days off and get some rest, Flanders said, looking aged. He turned and headed towards his office. Xiao Wu spoke up, brother, let's go to the spirit hall to register. We've both reached soul master rank. Tang San nodded, a glimmer of joy in his eyes. Reaching soul master meant his subsidy would jump from 10 gold soul coins to 100. With a few months of savings, he could buy the materials for Zhuge godly crossbow, flying divine claws, silent sleeve arrows, and other hidden weapons. He'd spent the past 6 years' earnings on dragon beard needles, Shrek Academy fees, and tuition. He still owed Flanders for the needles, and Xiao Wu had wiped out his hidden weapon savings. I'm coming too. My money's all gone to food. Time to collect my soul master subsidy, Ma Hongjun announced, patting his belly. Fatty, I bet you've blown it all in the red light district, Oscar quipped with a smirk. Xiao Ao, you. Ma Hongjun flushed with anger. Ma Hongjun started chasing Oscar. Dai Mubai followed Zhu Zhuqing, Xiao Wu and Tang San walked arm in arm, and Ning Rongrong strolled along, unconcerned about money. The Shrek group headed toward Soto City's Spirit Hall branch. As Tang San and Xiao Wu entered the Spirit Hall, they saw Ma Hongjun in a heated argument with a staff member, both red-faced. Fatty, what's going on? Tang San asked, puzzled. Ma Hongjun was furious. Third brother, the Spirit Hall won't give us the Soul Master subsidy. They want us to go back to the academy and wait. They're saying that the Soul Master subsidy will now be 1 gold soul coin for everyone, Soul Master, Great Soul Master, Soul Elder. What? That's my Soul Master subsidy. Why should the Spirit Hall take my money? That the Spirit Hall staff member was exasperated by Ma Hongjun's ranting. Tang San frowned, but, remaining calm, he inquired politely, "Excuse me, can you explain the change in the Soul Master subsidy?" Seeing Tang San's politeness, the staff member softened his tone. The Soul Master subsidy used to be provided by the two empires through the Spirit Hall for Soul Masters below the Soul Sect level. From now on, the empires will be handling the Soul Master subsidy distribution directly, independently from the Spirit Hall. The empires have decreed that all registered high-level Soul Master academies within the empire can receive the Soul Master subsidy. Whether you're a Soul Master, Great Soul Master, or Soul Elder, the subsidy is 1 gold soul coin. So, if you want your subsidy, go to your academy and wait patiently for a payment from the empire. Unless your academy isn't a certified high-level Soul Master academy, you won't get any subsidy. Tang San paused, then nodded. Fatty, come on. This isn't the Spirit Hall's fault. Seeing Ma Hongjun about to make a scene, Tang San said sternly, "This is the Spirit Hall." Ma Hongjun finally realized that the Spirit Hall was a branch of the largest power on the continent, and he, a mere student, couldn't afford to offend them. Outside the Spirit Hall, Ma Hongjun was still fuming. "Third brother, the Spirit Hall has no ethics. Just cuts off the money like that. How am I supposed to deal with my evil fire? And they call themselves the #1 power. Just like teacher Zhao Wuji and Dean Flender said, they're an evil organization." Flanders and Zhao Wuji had a low opinion of the Spirit Hall. One pope, Qianxunji, had forced Xiao to kneel and swear an oath, while the other Spirit Hall had sent 20 soul emperors to ambush and capture him. Oscar looked glum. Without the Soul Master subsidy, how would he impress Ning Romrom? Selling sausages had already given her a bad impression. If he didn't sell sausages, what would he do? Tang San, Ma Hongjun, and Oscar were now concerned with how to deal with the subsidy cut. The spendthrift Xiao Wu didn't seem to grasp the situation. As nobles, Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing weren't worried. Let's ask Dean Flanders. Didn't that staff member say the empire would allocate funds to the academy? 1 gold soul coin is better than nothing. Tang San said, glancing at the blacksmith shops around him. He realized that he might have to start doing odd jobs again to save money. Without hidden weapons, he felt vulnerable. Shrek Academy, Dean's office, Ma Hongjun shouted, "What? Teacher, you can't issue Soul Master subsidies." "Why?" Flanders looked at the students, minus Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Oscar. He thought Ma Hongjun was being disrespectful by yelling and cursed, "What are you talking about? The purpose of Shrek Academy is to train monsters, then set you loose on the world. How can I register with the Empire, invite the Empire into our business, and let them control you? This is for your future, you little monsters." Ma Hongjun knelt and grabbed Flanders' leg. "But teacher, without the Soul Master subsidy, what'll I do about my evil fire? If I can't vent it, I'll burn up. How can I be a successful Soul Master? Use your hands. Your teacher has no money." Flanders gritted his teeth. It wasn't that he didn't want to help, but Ma Hongjun burned through money faster than he did. He wanted to save money to improve the academy, and couldn't ruin Shrek's future for one disciple. Ma Hongjun collapsed. "Use my hands? After experiencing that feeling? Teacher, Shrek has produced so many monsters, and we even have a senior leader in the Spirit Hall. Can't you ask them for help?" Ma Hongjun backed away. He had impulsively made a scene at the Spirit Hall, but the Empire, with its millions of troops, was the most powerful force on the continent. He wouldn't dare make a scene there. Absolutely not. Shrek will never allow aristocratic capital to join. Flanders stated firmly, to avoid losing face. If there really was a high-ranking Spirit Hall graduate, Flanders would be bragging about it and Shrek wouldn't still be in this rundown village. Holy Soul Village, Su Yuntao, a Spirit Hall staff member, arrived with a team to construct a statue of the angel goddess. The construction site was in the village center, where martial souls were awakened, and next to the stone pillar with the Soul Saint's handprint, village chief Jack approached on crutches. "Master Su, what are you planning? Why so early?" It's not time for the awakening ceremony, is it? Ah, village chief Jack. Recognizing an old acquaintance, Su Yuntao greeted him and explained his mission. Old Jack's expression changed. He stood in front of the stone pillar, blocking it. You can't tear it down. You mustn't. Su Yuntao was confused. Old Jack, what are you doing? Old Jack said, Master Su, I respect you as a soul master, but this pillar has been passed down from a soul saint born in our village. It's a symbol of Holy Soul Village, the origin of its name, and my lifelong belief. If you want to tear it down, you'll have to step over my dead body. Su Yuntao didn't know what to say. Old Jack, can you spare a bit of land so we can build the statue? Master Su, why do you want to build a statue? By now, elderly and middle-aged villagers had gathered. Rural people, especially poor ones, valued land. Su Yuntao hesitated, then explained that the spirit hall wasn't awakening martial souls for free anymore. To be awakened, you had to kneel and worship the angel goddess statue, or pay 10 gold soul coins. Old Jack and the villagers were furious. Why did they have to bow down to awaken their martial souls? Why 10 gold soul coins? They had never needed to bow down, and the spirit hall had always done it for free. They had never heard of a seraph statue. 6 wings, a birdman? Why should they bow down to a birdman? Since Su Yuntao was a noble soul master, old Jack remained polite. Master Su, please go back. Holy Soul Village is short on land. It's mostly used for farming. I'm afraid we don't have any space for your statue. Su Yuntao saw their stubborn expressions and realized what they were thinking. Tired of arguing, he led his team to the next village. After Su Yuntao left, the villagers felt better. Old Jack stroked the mossy stone pillar and said, I won't let you suffer, even if it costs me my life. Then, a quick-thinking villager asked, Village Chief Jack, if the spirit hall won't awaken martial souls for free, what do we do this year? 10 gold soul coins. My family doesn't even have half that. Old Jack smiled. We're subjects of the empire. We pay taxes. If the spirit hall won't help, the empire will. And a soul saint came from this village. Don't worry. The villagers sighed in relief. Jack was right. They were subjects of the empire, not the spirit hall. The spirit hall might offer free help, but the empire had to help them. Chapter 85 Bibi Dong's Daily Situation, 2 in 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 7 days had passed since Spirit Hall announced its new policies. In the Papal Palace, Qianrenhan sat on the throne, sipping red wine. How are things progressing? He asked. Douluo replied respectfully, Your Holiness, the news about ending free martial soul awakenings, cutting off soul master subsidies, and cracking down on troublemakers has reached every branch hall. Each major branch hall has erected a seraphim statue in its main hall. However, there are issues with most village statues. He glanced at Qianrenhan, whose expression remained calm. Douluo continued, suppressing a smile, 90% of the villages are refusing to let us build goddess statues. They believe the empire will provide martial soul awakenings. Predictable, Qianrenhan said. People really do have wild imaginations. After this initial round of angel goddess statue construction, the next round will be funded by the villagers who refused the first time. If they can't afford it, they'll have to bring their kids to the spirit hall in the city every morning to kneel and worship the statue. Qianrenhan didn't mind saving spirit hall some money. What about suppressing the rebellious soul masters? Your Holiness, Douluo answered, sounding enthusiastic, each spirit hall branch is receiving 1 or 2 requests a day regarding rebellious soul masters, and the number is growing. More work meant more money. Just then, 2 brilliant rays of angelic light illuminated the entrance to the Papal Palace. 2 handsome soul masters, clad in golden armor, with blonde hair and 4 wings, entered. They held an iron chain, which was attached to a disheveled man with gray hair, a hooked nose, small eyes, and a large mouth. His face was as wrinkled as dried orange peel, and he glared at Qianrenhan with terror in his eyes. the two soul masters knelt on one knee. "Your Holiness," they said, their voices tinged with fear. "Rise," Qianrenhan said. He avoided looking at them directly, fighting the urge to lash out. These two were angel clan soul masters. As the fallen angel, he despised their winged holy angel spirit. Only DouluoDalu, Qianxunji, and Qianrenxue could hold his attention without him feeling a surge of murderous intent. Qianrenhan said calmly, "This one seems to harbor dark thoughts. Thank you for your work. Continue searching. As you command, Your Holiness." The two soul masters hurried away. Their martial souls were terrified of Qianrenhan, and they couldn't even think of resisting. He could crush 12 wings with 6, and 10 wings with 4. Their cultivation was far inferior to his. Qianrenhan had requested the two angel soul masters from DouluoDalu because angel souls were more sensitive to evil intentions. He felt that Qianrenxue's undercover mission in the Heaven Do Empire was hindering her growth, as well as his work as pope. He wouldn't repeat that mistake. He needed angel soul masters to find those within Spirit Hall harboring evil thoughts. He'd use the fallen angels' power to turn them into puppets and make them handle the day-to-day affairs of Spirit Hall. A puppet's value was simple: it worked and drank water. Its food was just pickled cabbage and steamed buns. If it didn't work, it died. If the two angel soul masters found too many of these evil-minded teachers, and the supply exceeded the demand, he wouldn't bother with even the buns and water. They'd work until they starved to death. These were bad guys anyway. So instead of ruining Spirit Hall's reputation or being left to rot in the city of slaughter, it was better for them to die after Qianrenhan had squeezed every last drop of usefulness from them, saving him time to cultivate and increase his strength. "Elder Ju, you may leave as well," Qianrenhan said, waving his hand. After Douluo left, the papal palace doors closed, leaving only Qianrenhan and the handcuffed middle-aged soul master in the dimly lit hall. The man trembled with fear. He fell to his knees. "Your Holiness. I won't do it again. I promise. I'll work hard. Spare my life." Qianrenhan picked at his ear, looking annoyed. "Quiet. What's your name?" The middle-aged soul master replied, "Your Holiness, I'm Miles." "Miles. From now on, you are my puppet." Qianrenhan's eyes glowed blood-red as the 10-winged fallen angel spirit emerged behind him. Miles's face went blank as he looked at the fallen angel spirit. His eyes became vacant, his arms hung limp, and he seemed to have lost his soul. Nodding City, a woman with long purple hair, a few strands of gray, carrying a small bag, graceful and still charming despite her worn appearance, entered Nodding City. It was Bibi Dong, exiled from Spirit Hall by Qianrenhan, seeking Xiao. She hurried through Nodding City, clutching her bag. Without even pausing for a drink, she asked vendors for directions to Nodding College and walked quickly toward it. Her eyes shone with a tearful hope. The world might be vast, but only one place, one person, felt like home. "Xiao, I'm here. Do you remember our vows of love? Do you still remember Bibi Dong on the shore of Daming Lake?" Arriving at the gates of Nodding College, she was stopped by a guard. He sized up her clothes, noting the quality, and lowered his tone. "Madam, what brings you to Nodding College?" Bibi Dong was a pope, with exceptional people skills. Normally, she wouldn't pay attention to snobbery, but she was now an ordinary person, easily defeated by a harsh word. "I'm looking for you, Xiao." "You know the Grandmaster?" The guard was shocked. Xiao was no longer the laughingstock of Nodding College. He'd accepted Tang San, a disciple with innate full soul power, proving his theory. Moreover, the former young lady of Nodding College, Xiao Wu, was Tang San's childhood sweetheart. The two of them, along with the Grandmaster, were rising in status. He was almost as important as the dean of Nodding College. "I am his friend." Bibi Dong felt a surge of happiness. Seeing the fear on the guard's face, she knew Xiao was special. He could thrive anywhere. She really had good taste. The guard looked at Bibi Dong, still attractive and around Xiao's age. Could she be involved with the Grandmaster? He said, "I'll inform the dean." He returned a moment later. Madam, I'm very sorry. The dean said the Grandmaster left the college a few days ago. What? Xiao left? Where did he go? Bibi Dong's face was filled with anxiety. 21 years had passed since she and Xiao separated. Now, just as they were about to meet again, he'd left a few days before. She was devastated. I believe he went to Soto City, to a place called Shrek Academy. The guard scratched his head. Shrek Academy? What a weird name. Bibi Dong was confused, but she remembered the name Soto City. She planned to pawn some of her clothes to get money. She was practically broke. She'd carefully calculated how much it would cost to get from Spirit Hall to Notting City, and she refused to take a single extra penny from Spirit Hall. When she arrived at the pawn shop, a crowd was already lined up. Ordinary clothes, weapons, and anything of value could be exchanged for money. Bibi Dong wondered why everyone was clutching their belongings so tightly, but Bibi Dong didn't think too much. She opened her bag and revealed a few exquisite long dresses made of expensive silk. Each was worth at least 4 digits of gold spirit coins. As a saint and a pope, Bibi Dong's clothes were naturally of the highest quality. As soon as the clothes were revealed, several pairs of greedy eyes stared from the shadows. But Bibi Dong, now an ordinary person, didn't notice. After a while, Bibi Dong approached the counter, pulled out a neatly folded dress, and said, "Boss, how much for this?" "What fine material," the owner said, touching it. "Madam, this dress is not cheap. You shouldn't be poor. Why are you pawning these clothes?" "I need money urgently." "If you don't have that much, give me less, but at least 50 gold spirit coins." Bibi Dong only cared about Xiao. She just wanted travel money, and she knew Xiao would support her. The owner smiled slightly, made a secret gesture, and said, "Okay." Just as they were about to trade, a great soul master with 2 spirit rings, one white and one yellow, rushed in, snatched the bag from Bibi Dong's hand, and ran into a nearby alley. Bibi Dong was stunned. She chased after him, shouting, "Stop, thief! Someone catch him!" Inside the pawn shop, the owner watched her run, smiling to himself. Stupid, so stupid. She's a rich woman who doesn't know to hide her wealth. Ha ha ha. Since Spirit Hall had ordered the arrest of troublemaking soul masters and cut off the soul master subsidies, those freeloaders were desperate for money. The best targets were naturally the ordinary people who couldn't afford protection. Some shrewd businessmen decided to partner with soul masters, profiting from their power. Bibi Dong was a victim of this. The owner hadn't expected a wealthy woman with expensive clothes to ask to pawn them. After learning she needed the money urgently and had no ability to hire a soul master from Spirit Hall, he immediately asked his soul master partner to rob her. The owner knew the difference between a low price and a freebie. As for conscience, was it edible? On the street, Bibi Dong, after running for blocks, gasped for air. How could an older, ordinary person outrun a second-level soul master? And she was wearing a skirt which had been torn during the chase. Her only valuable clothes were gone, and she was penniless. She couldn't go to Soto City, and she had no place to eat, live, or get clothes. Bibi Dong was almost in tears. In the end, she had no choice but to swallow her pride and seek help from the Spirit Hall branch in Notting City. Spirit Hall took care of rogue soul masters, and nobles handled the commoners. Everyone in the continent knew this. At the gate of the Notting City Spirit Hall was a 5-meter-tall seraphim goddess statue. Bibi Dong walked in, looked at the statue with disgust, and headed to the personnel desk. A staff member sat holding a pen and paper. "Madam, this is Spirit Hall. How can I help you?" Bibi Dong said angrily, "A soul master stole my bag. You have to help me catch him." "Okay," the staff member said. "What level was the soul master? Where were you robbed?" Bibi Dong replied, "Pawn shop, great soul master, 2 spirit rings, 1 white and 1 yellow. The martial soul is a leopard." The staff nodded. "Understood. Great soul master cases cost 50 gold spirit coins. Please provide your real name." home address, and a deposit of 25 gold spirit coins. We'll send someone to help you recover your items. We'll send them home, and you can pay the remaining 25 gold spirit coins then. Bibi Dong was stunned. 50 gold spirit coins. Isn't it Spirit Hall's responsibility to deal with troublemaking soul masters? When did you start charging a fee? The staff explained patiently, this is the new Spirit Hall policy. We no longer handle these cases for free. The price is 5 gold spirit coins for soul masters, 50 for great soul masters, 500 for spirit elders and so on. The deposit is half the fee, and the other half is collected after the case is closed. If we can't recover your items, the deposit will be refunded. How can this be? All my money was in that bag. I have nothing. Bibi Dong was about to cry. Why was her life so miserable? She just wanted to pursue her love. Why was it so difficult? She then said, can you take the bag back, and I'll pay you double later? That's against the rules. The staff member shook his head, pointed at the angel goddess statue, and said, if you really have no money, you can kneel and worship the angel goddess statue. After 50 hours, Spirit Hall can help you recover it for free. You're responsible for any losses. Kneel and worship the angel statue. For 50 hours. Bibi Dong felt that her dignity had been completely trampled. She hated the angel family and wanted to destroy it more than anything. She was supposed to bow down to the angel god. She'd rather die. Chapter 86 Bibi Dong suffered humiliation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then, Bibi Dong turned and left the Spirit Hall branch without a second thought. She wasn't a loser. She had her wits about her, and she'd been a saint and a pope. Surely she could scrape together enough for a trip to Soto City. The staff watched her go, puzzled. Why didn't the average person bother to show up for such a sweetheart deal? It was usually just wealthy businessmen and nobles. To snag yourself a powerful spirit master, all you had to do was kneel and pray to the angel statue for 50 hours for 50 gold spirit coins. Basically, you got an hour of prayer for 1 gold coin. A single gold coin could keep a small family fed and clothed for a whole month. The common folk were so used to being pushed around by the nobles that they didn't even want to deal with the Spirit Hall. Leaving the branch hall, Bibi Dong headed to a pawn shop. After waiting her turn, she asked, "Boss, how much can I get for this dress?" The pawnbroker looked a little surprised to see her back, then smiled. "I can give you 20 gold spirit coins, tops." 20. "Boss, that's hardly anything," Bibi Dong frowned. 20 wouldn't last her a few days if she stayed in any decent hotel. She was too stressed to stay in cheap dives. Too noisy. She needed her rest if she was going to look her best for you, Xiao. "Look at the thing, lady. It's torn and covered in dust." 20 is a steal, the pawnbroker said, acting like he was doing her a favor. All right, Bibi Dong sighed, figuring she'd have to start pinching pennies. She could live without fancy food. Regular fish and meat would do. When Bibi Dong walked out of the pawn shop, her luxurious gown was gone, replaced by simple clothes, and she clutched a small pouch of coins in her hand. "Xiaoan, just you wait." This time, Bibi Dong wasn't letting go of the money. She was going to hire a carriage and get to Soto City ASAP before anything else could go wrong, but as luck would have it, a young spirit master strolled by the pawn shop. Seeing Bibi Dong in her plain clothes and clutching a money bag, he snatched it right out of her hand. The pawnbroker thought to himself, "Hey, you can't steal my money." Bibi Dong stared at her empty hands, then at the young man gaping at the coins. Enraged, she tried to grab it back. "Who are you? Why did you steal from me? Who am I? I'm a noble spirit master. I'm doing you a favor by taking your money." The young spirit master shoved her hard, sending her sprawling. A white, gleaming spirit ring appeared around his feet, and his face was full of arrogance. The people setting up stalls nearby shook their heads, pitying Bibi Dong, but they didn't dare to stand up to a spirit master with a spirit ring. Spirit masters were like stars in the sky, beings they could only look up to. It was said that spirit masters had incredible powers, and a titled Douluo could level mountains and boil oceans. They could do whatever they wanted to ordinary people like them. Ever since the subsidies for spirit masters had been cut, it was common for freeloading spirit masters with no income, used to living large, to freeload at the food stalls, or even straight up rob the vendors to pay for meals at fancy restaurants. That's why the small business owners clutched their goods tightly, they were afraid of being robbed. And now Bibi Dong had walked right into it, getting robbed by a spirit master. Who could she blame? Bottom line, common people with no money or power were treated worse than dogs. Nobles and spirit masters could walk all over them. Give me the money. Give it back. Bibi Dong screamed and lunged at the young spirit master, trying to get her pouch back. But how could a middle-aged woman beat a young man, especially one who was a spirit master? The young spirit master smirked, and without hesitation, slapped her hard across the face. A nobody like you dares to resist a great spirit master, smack, the sound echoed. Blood trickled from the corner of Bibi Dong's mouth as she fell to the ground, her hair covering her face. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, stared out from beneath her hair. She had been slapped. She, the dignified Bibi Dong, former saint of the spirit hall, the Pope, had been slapped in the face by an ant of a spirit master. Hey, not bad curves. And your skin is pretty smooth. Bibi Dong was on the ground in shock. Her body was fully exposed in front of the young spirit master. He let his gaze wander over her figure and slender thighs. Although they weren't in their prime, they were still impressive. And even with a few wrinkles, she was still beautiful. He was instantly aroused. The young spirit master reached out toward her breasts, wanting to feel her up. He was drooling. He reached for her thigh, ready to grab a handful. He would drag Bibi Dong to some quiet woods. He was just a spirit master, not too powerful, and couldn't get away with too much. If he seriously disrupted the peace of Nodding City, the city lord would be on him in a flash. Suddenly, he felt an overwhelming pressure bearing down on him. A wave of murderous intent washed over him, then vanished in an instant. Spare me. Please, spare me. I'll never do it again. That the young spirit master thought that some high-level spirit master in the city thought that he was going too far and affecting the morale of the city was warning him, so he knelt and begged for mercy, then scrambled away as fast as he could. In the shadows, two spirit masters, a man and a woman, with long golden hair and sky-blue eyes, looked at Bibi Dong with disgust and disdain. The blonde man said with a sneer, Bibi Dong is utter garbage. Without our spirit hall, she'd be nothing. I don't know why the family head wants us to watch over her. Wouldn't it be easier to just take back the spirit bone and be done with it? There was unconcealable disgust in the blonde woman's eyes, but she still said, she's still the young master's mother and the former pope. Let her figure things out on her own. Going from pope to commoner, I doubt she'll last long. Once she's reached the end of her rope, we can take back the spirit bones. These two were DouluoDalu, members of the angel clan sent by the head of the family to watch over Bibi Dong. They were the only ones he trusted, except for the three direct members of the angel clan. Anyone who knew what Bibi Dong had done felt nothing but revulsion toward her. That's why when Bibi Dong was slapped by a spirit master, they didn't lift a finger. They might have even been tempted to help him. But when it came to Bibi Dong's life and reputation, they had to step in. After being robbed twice, the penniless Bibi Dong set out to make money, but the road ahead was rough. When she washed dishes, the female boss said she was too slow. When she swept floors, she wasn't thorough enough. When she hawked goods in the street, she wasn't loud enough. She was like a spoiled rich girl who couldn't do anything right and was always getting yelled at or hit. And Bibi Dong was the pampered daughter of the spirit hall. It was even worse when she worked for a male boss. Because of Bibi Dong's beauty, the boss's wife went to great lengths to keep her from causing trouble. The two members of the angel clan were indifferent the whole time, but they also stepped in, all targeting men who harbored lustful intentions. In the end, Bibi Dong failed at almost every job, and she couldn't get high-level jobs. She had become an ordinary person. Finally, no one would hire her, and she was reduced to eating porridge and digging up wild vegetables to sell just to survive. All the pride she once had was gone. She had been humiliated, looked down upon, and ridiculed. Her life was worse than a dog's. Those bright purple eyes had been dulled by countless scoldings, beatings, and tears. The only thing keeping her going was the hope of seeing Xiao again. No one in the spirit hall knew what had happened to Bibi Dong, because the two members of the angel clan had no intention of reporting back. Chapter 87 Tang Hao returns to Haotian sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was still dark at Shrek Academy. At Yu Xiaoan's place. Yu Xiaoan sighed, I can't believe Bibi Dong's out as pope. Turns out, the current pope is Qianxunji's son. How am I gonna ask Bibi Dong at the spirit hall about cultivating twin martial souls now? Yu Xiaoan felt helpless. It was uncertain whether Bibi Dong had been kicked out of the spirit hall and was on the run. With the spirit hall's disdain for him, if he dared to ask about twin martial soul cultivation, he'd probably be dead before he even saw Bibi Dong. The current pope would likely squash him like a bug, thinking back to when Qianxunji showed up and threatened to make him kneel before Flanders and Lu Erlong. Yu Xiaoan felt hatred and a burning desire for revenge. Blue-silver grass, useless martial souls are nothing. Only the clear sky hammer can take down the spirit hall. But without knowing how to cultivate twin martial souls, how's Little San supposed to add soul rings to the clear sky hammer without his body exploding? Forget it, Yu Xiaoan thought, being a martial arts theory fanatic, guess I'll have to figure it out myself. Yu Xiaoan grabbed a pen and paper and started writing about Tang San's group losing the outer soul bones in Douluo Forest. Stopping, he said, hope Haotian shows up and can help Little San find those outer soul bones after reading this. After writing the letter, Yu Xiaoan headed toward the Shrek Academy cafeteria. He wanted to whip up a killer breakfast for the students, something to boost their nutrition. Otherwise, it'd just be a pile of buns and an egg, a totally inadequate breakfast for soul masters needing all the nutrients they can get to train. As soon as Yu Xiaoan left, a tall figure in a tattered black robe appeared in his room. Patches were missing, revealing bronze skin. His normally sharp features were covered with a waxy yellow film. His hair was a bird's nest, and his beard, well, who knew how long it had been since he'd seen a comb? He looked like a beggar. This man was Tang Hao, returning from teaching Zhao Wuji a lesson to visit his wife back in Holy Soul Village. What's been going on with the mistress? Tang Hao's hazy eyes fell on Yu Xiaoan's letter. In a moment, his eyes burned with anger and murderous intent. In the Shrek Academy cafeteria, Yu Xiaoan, in a chef's hat and apron, was stirring up breakfast. The first dish had just come out of the pan when a blast of wind hit, smack, Yu Xiaoan went flying, still clutching the hot pan. The pan smacked into the finished dishes set aside, a chain reaction. Yu Xiaoan hit the ground, and the hot iron pan, boiling vegetables, and veggie juice landed on him. Yu Xiaoan screamed in pain, burned and slapped. The pain on his face was nothing compared to the burning. Tang Hao, initially full of rage, was speechless. He'd only planned a small lesson, a single slap, but it had triggered this whole mess. The delicious, nutritious food meant to power up his mistress was ruined. After a moment, Tang Hao said coldly, Yu Xiaoan. You're Haotian Douluo. Seeing his idol, Yu Xiaoan's anger vanished, replaced by surprise. Tang Hao's voice remained cold. I entrusted my son to you, and you brought him to Shrek Academy. Now my son's lost his outer soul bone. Do you have any idea how much that'll hurt Little San's foundation? Your Majesty, Haotian, there was nothing I could do. To save Little San's soul bone, even soul saint-level teachers at the academy died. What could I possibly do? I'm not strong enough, Yu Xiaoan whined. Tang Hao turned away, not wanting to look at Yu Xiaoan's zombie face, which made him sick. He knew it wasn't Yu Xiaoan's fault. If it were, a level 29 spirit master would have been dead from that slap. I'll find a way to get Little San's outer soul bone back. Who stole it? Tang Hao demanded. The guy has white hair and blood-red eyes. His martial soul's a blood sword, a high-quality one at that. He's at least a contra-level master. Yu Xiaoan was holding back details because Xiao Wu was hiding her soul beast identity. Qianrenhan's strength was kept secret by her, and Ning Rongrong felt that her Qibao glazed sect was invincible. She didn't want others to know about it and was preparing to dice Qianrenhan into pieces, so she only knew so much. A contra-level master dares to steal from my son, Haotian Douluo's son. He's got a death wish. Tang Hao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He left, telling Yu Xiaoan to teach Tang San well. Days later, a towering mountain range appeared, covered from top to bottom in magnificent buildings. At the base stood two massive statues, each of a muscular man carrying two huge hammers. This was the #1 sect in the world, the Haotian sect. It boasted 7,000 disciples, a third of whom joined after Tang Hao's rampage in the Spirit Hall. Douluo rules: once you join a sect, you can never leave. In the sect's main hall, Tang Xiao, now at level 95, was handling affairs. Brother Hao. Tang Xiao looked up at Tang Hao, his initial excitement quickly turning to sadness. Brother Hao, what happened to you? Tang Hao's eyes trembled. He briefly reminisced about the past, asked about the Haotian sect, and then explained about Tang San. Little San, my nephew, twin martial souls, born with full soul power. Tang Xiao was excited, then furious after learning about Tang San's stolen soul bone. Tang Hao hesitated. Brother, Little San's outer soul bone was taken, and his foundations damaged. I'd like to borrow some resources to help him recover. Don't even ask. Haotian sect owes you everything, Hao. Our sect's name once again resounded across the mainland. Sooner or later, Little San will return to the Haotian sect. When that happens, we, you, me, and Little San, will storm the Spirit Hall and avenge Ain. Tang Xiao clapped Tang Hao on the shoulder, not too hard, but still enough to make Tang Hao cough up blood. His internal injuries flared up, and he felt dizzy as he hit the ground. Brother Hao. Brother Hao. Chapter 88. Bibi Dong is still wandering. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tang Xiao reached out, sending soul power into Tang Hao's body. He was immediately stunned. Tang Hao's internal organs were all out of place, and a disturbing amount of congestion had built up inside him. Multiple meridians were blocked, hindering the flow of soul power. He couldn't believe Tang Hao had survived such devastating injuries. When Tang Hao opened his eyes, he was in a secret room. Tang Xiao, along with the second, third, and fourth elders, the four current titled Douluos of the Haotian sect, were sitting cross-legged beside him. They were channeling their soul power into him, soothing his meridians, and working to clear the congestion and reduce the damage. The fifth, sixth, and seventh elders stood guard. Outside the secret room, the patriarchs of the four single attribute clans provided further protection. The Tang family of the Haotian sect trusted no one who didn't wield the clear sky hammer spirit, not even relatives like Bai He. Thank you, brother and uncles, Tang Hao said, expressing his gratitude. Xiao Hao, what happened? How did you get so badly hurt? Tang Lai, the notoriously grumpy seventh elder, was the first to speak. Tang Hao sighed. Uncle Qi, these are the lingering injuries from my fight with Qianxunji. I used the explosive ring during that battle, and we both took a beating. The clear sky hammer slammed hard into my chest. If it weren't for the immense vitality granted by A Yin's sacrificial ninth spirit ring, I wouldn't have lasted this long. Tang Lai exploded in anger. The Spirit Hall. What a Spirit Hall. If Tang Chen, the ancestor, were still around, they wouldn't dare to act so arrogantly. Uncle Qi, we can't afford to mess with the Spirit Hall right now. Qianrenhan is back and has become a titled Douluo. Even the Seven Treasures glazed tile school can't stand up to him alone. Plus, DouluoDalu is still there. Our Haotian sect can't win that fight. Tang Xiao sighed, then shifted the conversation, revealing Tang San's exceptional talent and twin martial souls. Xiao Hao, I can't believe that you and a soul beast produced such a powerful kid, twin martial souls. Even the angel martial soul can't compare to the clear sky hammer, especially when paired with twin martial souls. Tang Lai grinned, picturing the invincible clear sky hammer surrounded by black and red energy. Lao Qi, the second elder cautioned him. Tang Lai caught himself, seeing the dark expressions on Tang Hao and Tang Zhao's faces. He cleared his throat, trying to regain composure. He'd forgotten how fiercely loyal Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were to that 100,000-year-old soul beast. He wasn't about to apologize. A beast was a beast, and he'd never see the blue-silver emperor as anything more. In the end, everyone in the Haotian sect unanimously agreed that for the sect's future, for the sake of crushing the spirit hall once and for all, they would provide Tang San with resources and allow him to formally recognize his lineage and return to the sect after the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy competition. Meanwhile, at the Spirit Hall, in the Pope's palace, a cardinal rushed in, breathless. Report. Your Majesty the Pope. Spies within the Haotian sect report that the senior elders have gathered unexpectedly, along with the heads of the 4 single attribute clans. They're likely discussing something important. Interesting. Could Tang San be planning to acknowledge his lineage and return to the fold? Qianrenhan smirked. It seems my little benefactor is eager to keep giving. In that case, the Haotian sect's grand gesture will be settled after the Soul Master competition. But to truly destroy the sect, I still need to become stronger. Now that I've absorbed the 8 spider spears with their attached soul bones, it's time to explore the realm of a level 97 titled Douluo. After making those arrangements, Qianrenhan retreated to his secret training room, buried 100 meters underground. He had specifically ordered the construction of this room to isolate him from the unsettling influence of the angel statue in the Wuhun Palace, allowing him to focus entirely on his training. Qianrenhan activated the soul guide on his hand, and herbs rich in darkness and cold elements appeared before him. These were the herbs he'd secured when the ice and fire eyes were being processed, preventing them from falling into Bibi Dong's hands. He hadn't used them before, fearing he might overdo it and not be able to handle the energy. But now, the energy in these herbs was only moderately effective. At best, they could provide a little extra soul power. Even the ultimate attributes they offered to nurture his 10-winged fallen angel martial soul were almost useless. In 2 years, it will be time for the real hunt. In the meantime, I'll dedicate myself to mastering the fallen angel martial arts. Qianrenhan opened his mouth and inhaled, swallowing the high-level herbs containing coldness and darkness. Then, he sat down cross-legged to begin his training. The leap from level 95 to level 99 represented a major turning point. During this stage, simply accumulating soul power was no longer the primary focus. What truly mattered was a deeper understanding of the martial soul. Under normal circumstances, a soul master with a single martial soul needed to train diligently after reaching the titled Douluo level. However, twin martial souls were different. They could quickly level up by absorbing soul rings and harnessing the massive soul power contained within. For example, in the original story, Tang San relied on the soul ring and soul power of the deep-sea demonic whale king to jump from level 96 to level 99, even boosting the Shrek 6 monsters up several levels along the way. This kind of rapid leveling was effective, but without the necessary insight, the martial soul's true power couldn't be unleashed to its full potential. This kind of leveling was similar to how Qianrenxue and Bo Saishi rely on divine examinations to level up, that is, soul power infusion. After all, it is not done step by step. Qianrenhan wanted to replenish the soul rings for the Azura sword martial soul. If he hoped for the martial soul to become even more powerful, he naturally needed to obtain extremely ancient soul rings. These rings' immense energy would allow him to level up without falling behind in his understanding. After all, what was the difference between having well-developed limbs and a simple mind? A year later, in Soto City, a gray-haired woman, skinny as a rake and dressed in rags, hobbled into the city. Leaning on a cane and carrying a black vegetable basket filled with wild greens, she looked like a beggar. This old woman was none other than Bibi Dong. With astonishing will, she had traveled for months to Soto City, digging up wild vegetables, drinking watery porridge, and sleeping under the open sky. The power of love knows no bounds. However, Bibi Dong's former charm and beauty were gone. Exposure to the elements, malnutrition, prominent bones, and all the dirt covering her body had made her almost unrecognizable. The wrinkles on her face were deeper than those of a normal 50-year-old woman. She appeared more than 10 years older. Bibi Dong no longer considered herself worthy of being with Xiao. She felt too ugly to be by his side. All she wanted was to see him again. She hoped he could forgive her and allow her to explain why she had so cruelly broken things off. After asking around, Bibi Dong finally found her way to Shrek Academy, but it had long been abandoned. From a local villager, Bibi Dong learned that Shrek had relocated a few weeks earlier to participate in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy competition. Upon hearing the news, Bibi Dong burst into tears, but her faded purple eyes could barely produce a few drops. She wailed, "Xiao, why is it so hard for me to see you? Are we truly doomed to be apart?" But soon, Bibi Dong rallied her spirits. The Tiando division of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy competition was to be held in Tiando City. Xiao must have gone there. If she waited patiently outside Tiando City, there was bound to be a chance to see him again, so, Bibi Dong turned towards Tiando City and resumed her wandering. P.S. This is the third update. Isn't Bibi Dong a bit miserable? Chapter 89 Lingling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Another year went by. Deep within the Wuhun Palace, a surge of immense power erupted, the swirling dark soul energy engulfing the entire underground chamber. In the secret room, Qianrenhan stood surrounded by 9 soul rings, 3 purple, 3 black, and 3 red. His 7th soul ring remained unlit. With his eyes closed, he drifted backward, becoming one with his fallen angel spirit. The fallen angel spirit seemed to awaken. Its form, no longer rigid, moved with a fluid, lifelike grace. A shocking murderous intent emanated from the spirit, the soul energy coalescing into a pitch-black longsword. This sword pulsed with a chilling aura of death. With a single swing, it unleashed a wave of devastating energy, enough to obliterate a Douluo. The terrifying sword energy tore through over 100 meters of rock, shattered the surface, split several walls of the Pope's palace, and carved a deep ravine halfway up the mountain. The ravine crackled with lethal sword energy and dark soul power. The sword energy carried a potent killing intent. The black soul power spilled from the ravine, instantly consuming the life force of any trees it touched. Tian, my mastery of darkness truly surpasses yours, Qianrenhan said, retracting his spirit. His aura became intensely controlled. He seemed even more dangerous, exuding an almost demonic presence. Thanks to absorbing those herbs, Qianrenhan had broken through to level 97. More importantly, his connection to the fallen angel spirit was now absolute. He had achieved perfect harmony with it, able to merge with it completely even without manifesting its true form. In other words, Qianrenhan didn't need to endure the slow, arduous process Bo Saishi had described. 400 years to advance from level 97 to 98, and 600 years from level 98 to 99, relying solely on soul power to nurture his spirit's evolution. If he absorbed a few decent 10,000-year soul rings, his cultivation would naturally surge forward. Once his spirit sensed the opportunity, his final hurdle would be cleared. 2 years. Time to be rid of that puppet, Miles. I wonder how many of those angel tests that idiot girl has passed by now. Xiao, come to the Elders' Hall. The moment Qianrenhan emerged from the training room, Qiandaolu's voice echoed in his mind. The Elders' Hall was the largest building within the Papal Palace. The tall, domed structure opened into a vast hall. The hollow dome soared nearly 100 feet high and was divided into 3 levels, each with 10 rooms. The hall was deserted, not even a servant was present. At the far end stood a colossal, solid gold statue of a seraph, easily 30 feet tall. Qiandaolu stood waiting, his hands clasped behind his back. Beside him stood a beautiful young woman, barely 17 or 18, slender, fair-skinned, and with a lovely face. Her long blue hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall, and her eyes, the same shade of blue, were devoid of emotion. She radiated a sense of profound loneliness. As Qianrenhan stepped into the hall, the light dimmed, and the temperature seemed to drop. Old man, what do you want? Qianrenhan asked, glancing at the blue-haired woman. DouluoDalu replied calmly, this is Lingling, from the nine-hearted Begonia clan. She's the fiancée I found for you while you were in the killing city. For the angel clan's heir, and the Pope of Wuhun Palace, to seek a fiancée, and for the 99th level DouluoDalu to personally deliver the proposal, which force in the spirit master world would dare refuse. Even if they approached the 7 treasure glazed tile school for Rongrong, or the Haotian sect for Tang Yuehua, with enough pressure, Qianxunji and Tang Xiao would likely comply, let alone the less powerful 9-hearted Begonia clan. Qianrenhan raised an eyebrow, a faint smile playing on his lips. Have you forgotten what I said when I was 9? DouluoDalu's expression tightened. He had hoped to find a fiancé who could help Qianrenhan adjust after his time in the killing city. He had chosen Lingling because her personality mirrored Qianrenhan's, a fellow social recluse. Plus, the 9-hearted Begonia, the world's premier healing spirit, would compensate for the fallen angel's lack of healing abilities. However, Qianrenhan's 5-year stay in the killing city had led everyone to believe he was dead, and the marriage had been put on hold. After his return, things seemed normal, but the matter was continually postponed until the Yi family head sent a letter, seeking clarification on the Qian family's intentions. DouluoDalu felt bound to honor his promise as a high priest of the angel god, and thus had no choice but to bring Lingling to Spirit Hall. The decision regarding this marriage is yours. I can't stay away from Douluo Hall for too long. Offering a flimsy excuse, DouluoDalu vanished in a flash, leaving Qianrenhan and Lingling alone in the elders' hall. Lingling clutched the hem of her skirt, glanced at Qianrenhan, who was staring back with an indifferent gaze, then quickly lowered her head. She had always worn a veil in public, never revealing her face. Today was the only exception, done to meet her fiancé. In the original story, Dugu Lingling's only friend, had been killed early on, leaving her friendless ever since, with almost no outside contact. Life at Tiando Royal Academy had been bleak. Look up. Qianrenhan's voice cut through the silence. It was an order, cold and absolute. Slowly, Lingling raised her head to meet the gaze of Qianrenhan, who had somehow appeared directly in front of her. She trembled. Lingling was only about 5'7", more than half a foot shorter than Qianrenhan. The height difference, combined with Qianrenhan's imposing, emotionless face, created a terrifying sense of oppression. Look into my eyes. Qianrenhan's eyes widened slightly, locking onto Lingling's beautiful blue eyes. Black soul energy surged in his blood-red pupils, and his spiritual power pierced into her heart. In an instant, an overwhelming wave of loneliness washed over Qianrenhan. He saw a girl huddled in a corner, afraid to interact with anyone. He saw her low self-esteem, her isolation, her loneliness. He saw the thoughts of a pure, heartbreakingly innocent girl. Lingling's decision had been simple. Given the arranged marriage, she would simply fulfill her duties as a wife, regardless of her feelings. If Qianrenhan broke the engagement, she would endure a lifetime of loneliness, becoming a divorced woman. If she could manage, she would find someone to carry on the bloodline of the 9-hearted Begonia. I never expected to find such purity in someone in the Douluo continent. A truly immaculate 9-hearted Begonia in full bloom. Qianrenhan turned away, muttering. Even someone as cold-blooded as he was touched by her character. He had, however, ordered the death of Dugu Lingling's one source of light in the original story. Your Majesty the Pope. Lingling's voice was delicate. After saying those words, she fell silent again, bowing her head, as if prompting Qianrenhan to make his decision. Since we're to be married, so be it. Lingling, from now on, you're my fiancé. You can call me by my name. Qianrenhan turned back, his voice calm, looking at Lingling's surprised expression. Qianrenhan thought, while I may not feel anything for you, as your fiancé, I will fulfill all my responsibilities. Qianrenhan had never desired to rule from above. Wuhun Palace had never held a place in his heart. He sought greater power, a higher realm. Being the Pope and developing Wuhun Palace was only to repay the family that had raised him. Emotions, and even future generations, were simply a burden. P.S. Yi Lingling is not the heroine, she's just a supporting character like Qianrenxue. There is no heroine in this book.